Eyes are one of the most common features of the face that beginner artists struggle to draw, which isn't good because they're one of the most important features to nail when drawing an anime face. And whether you're struggling with their overall shape, their angle, their expression, or colouring them in, there's a lot of things to take into consideration and it can feel very overwhelming. But don't worry, because today I'm going to be teaching you a super simple approach to drawing anime eyes like a pro, from sketch to finish. So let's begin. So first, grab your paper or sketchbook and make sure it's got paper that's made to be used with markers, because if it's just regular thin paper, you're going to see some serious problems once we start colouring. I'll show you what I mean a little later on. But now, get any grey lead pencil you can find and let's draw a pair of male anime eyes by lightly sketching in a rhombus. Yes, that's right, a rhombus. In many popular anime styles, guy eyes have this rhombus-like structure, but their eyes are not as sharp and geometric as a rhombus. So the next step is to smoothen out the lines, especially this one at the bottom, so the shape starts to look a little bit more natural. And you can pause here to copy what I got so far. Now, anime eyes often have a very thick lash line, as we can see here on Mr. Eren Yeager. So, let's go back in with our pencil and thicken up that top line, as well as this area on the side like I'm doing here. You can also add a small wing at the end of the lash line to suggest that your character has eyelashes, and a larger wing at the start of the lash line too. Now let's simply do the same thing on the other eye, and at this point your eye should be starting to look pretty good. But don't celebrate yet, because we ain't done. Next up is the iris. Now there's so many ways to draw the iris, but for demonstration purposes, let's draw a medium sized one where 3/4 of the iris is showing. Doing this will result in your eye looking directly straight, so let's do that for the other one as well. Now there are so many ways to draw the pupil, so you can add whatever shape you want, but I'm just going to use a circle for now. Then add a sideways oval for a little highlight. Then you can use 2 simple lines to add in the eyelid. Then if you want your eye to be a little more detailed, you can add the tear duct, the inner lining of the eye bag, and last but not least, the eyebrows. And now that you know the basics of drawing male anime eyes, drawing other styles should now be a whole lot easier. So let's have a look at 2 more styles before we get colouring. Female eyes have a similar structure to male eyes, but have a couple key differences. So let's draw in our rhombus again, but this time we're going to make the overall shape a little flatter and the lines even smoother, as female eyes are usually softer and rounder. But then we can go in with our rubber and get rid of those original hard lines, and then we can draw in a very thick lash line. And most importantly, we're going to make the eyelashes very visible, just like this, using this curvy triangle-like shape. So add lots of eyelashes at the top and a couple at the bottom, and you can pause here to copy what I got so far. I then like to add a little bit more space between the eyes and the eyebrows compared to drawing male eyes, and then I add in thin eyebrows, more sparkles in the eyes, and that's about it. Now finally, when drawing a younger anime character, we're going to use this funky circle shape and make it almost 2 times bigger than our rhombuses from before. Then we're going to thicken up our lash line once again and bring that sideline to about halfway down the eye. Then define the lower line while keeping it very thin, and draw in a simple line to indicate where the eyelid would be. And the most important thing you got to do when drawing younger eyes is draw the iris much bigger and use more of an oval shape instead of a circle like before. Then add multiple highlight dots to show the sparkle and wonder in their eyes, and you can now say that you've learned how to draw male, female, and young anime eyes. But don't celebrate yet, because it's now time to make our drawings look like they came straight out of an anime. So to do that, let's first fine line our sketches. I'm going to be using Ohuhu's fine line drawing pens with a thickness of 0.3mm. But if you'd like, you can use an even thinner pen for an ultra clean look. But overall, fine lining is a pretty simple process, so as long as you took your time to make your sketch as clean as possible, you should be good to go. But now, it's finally time to bring these drawings to life with Ohuhu markers. I'm going to be going through 3 different levels of colouring, from easy, medium to hard, so feel free to choose whichever difficulty you're most comfortable with. But let's start out with the easy level. So start with a light grey marker and add a simple shadow underneath the eyelid. Then use a medium earth tone to colour the tear duct and the inner lining of the eye, and I also used a light pink to fill in the remaining space of the inner lining. Now get a medium blue to add a simple shadow at the top of the iris, followed by a slightly lighter blue for the middle of the iris, and when you're doing this, use an outwards flicking motion. And finally, get a very light blue marker to colour in the rest of the eye like this. Now in case you forget to leave space for highlights, you can use a tool like Ohuhu's gel ink pens to easily add highlights on top of your markers. But now let's add a reddish grey for the base colour of the eyebrows, and a few quick flicks of a dark brown. Then blend that all out and repeat this process for the other eye. Now get a medium skin tone and add some simple shadows underneath the eyebrow and some small ones along the eye bag. Then all that's left is to get your base skin tone and colour the rest in. And as you're doing that, your eye drawing should start to look really nice. But wait till you see the next one, because now let's do medium difficulty. So to start things off, let's erase our sketch lines and use a light grey marker in an outwards flicking motion to create the base of our eyelashes. Then with the colorless blender, use a light circular motion to blend out the grey into white. And then use the same strategy when coloring the eyebrows, but to make them look fuller, let's add some more purple onto the lash as well as some individual hair strands. But now let's use an extremely light grey to color in the eye, but leave the middle blank, and then use a purpley grey for the shadow. Then to blend it all together, use a light medium grey marker. Now let's slowly build up our iris, working from dark to light with extremely small outwards flicks. And the trick to making it look detailed is pretty much create the entire iris from flicks, and not from colouring in big sections with one marker. But as long as the bottom of your iris is very light and the top is darker, it should look pretty nice. Then we can add some little highlights and repeat the process for the other eye. Now for the skin, instead of colouring the whole area in one go, we're going to use that flicking motion again while flicking towards the areas we want to add other colors to, such as under the eyebrows. Doing this makes it way easier to blend the markers later down the line. But finally, I like to use extremely light markers such as purples and pinks on the final top layer to give the skin a bit more color and tint. And as we're adding our finishing touches, our medium level eye is done. And now it's time for the hardest difficulty. For this eye, you will need Ohu's 36 grey tone pack, Ohu's 320... I'm just kidding. You just need a couple pinks and purples. So once again, let's first define our shadow under the eyelid, followed by some downwards flicks with a really light marker to make the eye look a bit more 3D. You can also add some super light flicks of color like I'm doing here, before blending it all together with an extremely light grey. Now I'm adding a touch of pink in the corner of the eyes, and then layering a darker grey on top. And now for the fun part. First define the shadow areas of the iris by using some dark but not too dark purples, and leave lots of space white for the lighter colours later. Then add some tiny details around the edges of the iris and start flicking inwards with a light violet marker. Now add some more tiny pink details around the edges, and then very gradually colour the bottom of the iris using super light purples, then pinks, and then a touch of orange. Then at last, add lots of tiny highlights and colour the skin the same way as we did for the medium eye, while adding lots of areas of pink and purple around the cheeks, the corner of the eyes, and under the eyebrows. And with that, the eyes are all complete. Congratulations, because you now know how to draw anime eyes like a pro. But there's not really a point of just knowing how to draw eyes if you don't know how to draw the entire face. Luckily for you, the next part of this series is how to draw anime heads in 3 different styles. So, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all there.